Thanks for joining us today on the Big Blue Podcast. I'm Anina Collier, filling in today for Dr. Greg Stone, and I am joined by co-host Dr. Lee Goodson here at the Center for Creativity in downtown Tulsa.
Hi, Anina.
Hi, Dr. Goodson. Thanks for letting me crash your show today.
Oh, it's been a joy. Yeah,
We're
having a lot of fun.
So our guests today are Dean Muse, Academic Lab Coordinator, and Sydney Teel, Assistant Professor of English. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. So we are excited to hear about the restructuring of our tutoring centers at TCC. Dean, you've been working with a large team of faculty and staff to accomplish these projects. We've completed the first of several major steps. So tell us about the ultimate goal of this work, how it's intended to benefit student learning, sort of what we've done so far, and where we're going.
We've done a lot. And the main goal is to provide the best service we can for the students and be consistent. That if a student shows up to a writing center at the West Campus, whatever happened there, they could have that same experience at the Southeast Campus or Northeast or Metro. That it's the routines that are followed will be the same throughout the ones. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of what's helped that is training, that we've developed a training program that's been certified by the College Reading and Learning Association.
And we recently went through a certification process, correct?
Mm-hmm.
A step for it.
A step for it, okay.
Our training has been certified, and then we will certify tutors once the tutors have completed their training and committed and actually tutored for 25 hours and then had an evaluation of tutoring. And then there'll be a CRLA certified tutor, which they can take with them anywhere in the country. So if they're transferring to a four-year school, I know that OSU and OU and here in Broken Arrow, Northeastern, they also have CRLA training for their tutors, so they'd already have an advantage if they apply for a position.
That's great.
Talk to us a little bit about how we got here. So, for instance, all four campuses, and we've been exploring this really with every area. So with the labs, with student affairs, with the faculty structure. But talk to us about what kinds of challenges emerged in terms of what problem are we trying to solve? What challenges emerged when the labs on the four different campuses sort of matured on their own? Talk to us about some of those and how do you think we'll be alleviating these through the new structure?
Yeah. Every campus emerged on its own, and so there were different reporting structures on every campus. I know with the writing centers, we had at Southeast, the writing center was under the library. At Northeast and West, it was under academic and campus services, and then at Metro under communication services. And so, I mean, we just had different reporting structures, different supervisors. I mean, there's a lack of communication across the college that way, and everyone just kind of existed on their own. So they developed different policies, different procedures for those different labs. And so students did have different experiences. They might not necessarily know what to expect if they go from one campus to another. And with the staff too, staff couldn't be moved from one campus to another, or even funding or hours allotted to different campuses. I mean,
you couldn't move the budget dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So even though one campus might need more of a budget, it was hard to see that when everyone was so separate on the different campuses.
Because the budget probably belonged to maybe the library on that campus, or it belonged to the provost on that campus, and now we've centralized all of that budgeting function, which is a theme across the college. Let me do a little bit of a follow-up here, Sydney. Tell us, how are faculty receiving this transition? Are they enthusiastic about it, or do they feel like there's been a loss because they don't have there's always a loss and a gain, and so what has their response been as you all have approached this?
Yeah, I think as far as I know, most faculty are very supportive. And for one thing, we've moved all the labs under the schools, so the school that it connects to most. So math and science have been under that School of Science and Math, and then writing centers and language centers have been moved under liberal arts and communication, the School
Okay.
of liberal arts and communication. And so it's really, they have a stronger connection to the faculty for one thing. And my position, I'm assistant professor of English / coordinator, so I coordinate the writing centers and work with the English faculty. So, and I believe under math and science they have a coordinator as well, a faculty coordinator who can, really. That's one thing for the future we really want to do with the different tutoring centers is really connect it with the faculty and the classes, just because we want the curriculum and the coursework to really be connected to the tutoring centers. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds great.
So, Cindy, one of the major components of this project has been realigning positions within the lab so they're equitable across the college in terms of position title, salary, qualifications. So now when a student goes into one of our tutoring centers, who will they find there in terms of the qualifications and experiences of the tutors?
Oh, yeah. So every center is a little different, like math and science. They have student tutors there. Some of the language centers have some student tutors. And these are student tutors who have gone through that course, whatever they're tutoring in. So maybe they're tutoring in algebra or calculus, and they've gone through those classes, and they've been successful in those classes. So they have been through those classes recently. They know what is involved in the class, and they know how to be successful. So they can really help students well there. We also have tutors who have bachelor's degrees in that field, whatever field they're tutoring in, and so they have a lot of expertise. They have a lot of knowledge, and then we also have a lot of tutors with master's degrees too, who are adjuncts as well here at the college. So they're coming from several. They have a lot of experience in the classroom, but also tutoring and in that subject matter, whatever it is. And so we have tutors with varying degrees, but everybody has been through this common tutor training program certified through CRLA. And so everybody has that base level knowledge and really working on those tutoring skills, how to work best with students. And so everybody has gone through that, and they're working on their certification if they don't already have it. And I think I think that students will find highly qualified tutors who really care about the student. That's one thing we really emphasize in the tutor training program is we care about the student and helping the student become a lifelong learner, and instead of just helping them with that one problem and, oh yeah, you got it right, good job, but helping them develop their skills and become better writers or become, or develop their math skills or whatever skills it is they're working on.
I'm Lee Goodson here with my co-host, Anina Collier, and you're listening to the Big Blue Podcast. Our guests today are Dean Muse and Sydney Teel, and we've been talking about our academic labs redesign. So, Dean, you mentioned the CRLA certification, which stands for College Reading and Learning Association. And you've talked about that just a little bit and about some of the benefits. Can you tell us how the folks that are working in the lab feel about that? Is there some excitement? Kind of similar to what we asked Sydney, how are the faculty responding? Talk to us about how the teams in the lab are responding to this sort of standardization across the various campuses.
The training was a lot better received than I envisioned from the beginning. I first thought that people would say, well, I already know how to do this.
Sure.
And would be kind of not willing to participate. And we had close to 50 people show up the week before the semester started, and we met all day. And the training was interactive. We had groups at tables that discussed different things, such as, how to listen properly, active listening. And we used that and then shared with each other what each area thought, and the people were really involved in helping each other learn from experiences.
And so who makes up the teams in the lab? That's full-time and part-time, right?
Yes.
Probably a lot of part-time in the lab. Is that correct?
Each lab generally has one full-time person, the academic lab coordinator.
Okay.
Everybody else is part-time.
Okay, so a lot of part-time staff in the labs. And so for you to get 50 people voluntarily?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
That's amazing.
And there were some that were had
Congratulations.
already scheduled, like vacations.
Yeah.
And so otherwise we would have had more. But I'm not aware of anybody that didn't show up because they said, I don't want to.
So how often do we plan to offer that?
Currently, we're going to do it before each semester,
Great.
and we're going to want to expand that so we can have different trainings throughout the semester, like once every 3 weeks, once a month. that
Are
we
there
would-
next levels, or does everybody just get that one training? Can you go to the next level of training?
We can create this is a level 1 training. We
Okay.
can create a level 2 and a level 3.
Okay.
And so we create the training on our own and then submit it to the CRLA for certification.
Oh, so we can develop it in-house.
Yes.
And customize it for Tulsa Community College and our students and faculty and the curriculum, and design it ourselves, submit it, and then CRLA lets us use it as certification.
Yes.
That's amazing.
When we developed the level 1, we had approximately 20 people help create it. And it was everywhere from academic lab coordinators to advisors were in on it. We had a couple faculty members.
So
that
all the coordinators are
assisted.
certified, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Yes, and then as many of the part-time staff as possible. Wonderful.
Fascinating.
That is fascinating.
So you've kind of addressed part of my next question as far as the next phases of this project, but can you tell us a little bit more about the future of it, what we should expect for the coming academic year?
Yeah. Well, we're working on several different projects right now. We are definitely focused on online tutoring, how to best help the students at a distance, because so many students can't get up here. They have busy lives, and they can't get up here, after work, after classes. They just have limited time. And so we do have some options right now with online tutoring, but we're exploring different options and how best to serve students online. Definitely working on more connections with faculty, across the college, like with the writing centers. We definitely have a strong connection with the English faculty, but we want to work with other faculty who assign writing assignments in their classes even more. And we do work with some faculty, but we want to be that central place on campus for students and writing, anything having to do with writing. More professional development too, beyond just that initial training, more professional development to offer to all those 50 to 60 tutors that we have across the college. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, before we move into the big question, which I'm getting ready to ask here in just a minute, talk to us a little bit about how this project was really made possible. You all have been working on this for a long time. What was really the turning point in getting it off the ground?
We knew that we had to create training and restructure, and so we reached out to the Flint Family Foundation to see if they possibly could help us with funding to get additional training so we could create the training program properly, and they responded positively, and it's just was outstanding that they could help us. So 6 people from the different campuses went to St. Louis for 3 days and experienced different workshops that helped us create the training and be able to train properly.
That's wonderful. They have been extremely generous to the
yes,
college and really interested in the professional development aspect of everything we're doing. I think, now am I right, did both of you go to the Kellogg Institute also?
Yes.
In Chicago, right at Northwestern? Is that where that was? No, where was it?
Appalachian
Boone.
State.
Appalachian.
Yeah,
Okay.
North
okay.
Carolina.
Yeah, okay. Back that up, Patrick,
Okay.
because I thought the Kellogg Institute was somewhere.
I think that's Kellogg Institute of Business, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and just.
Do you want me to start all over?
Yeah, just go
Okay.
ahead. I'll just make a big file.
Okay,
Fine.
sorry. So before we go into the big question, which I'm getting ready to ask in just a second, can you talk to us a little bit about what was really the turning point that made it so this work was possible?
We saw that we had an opportunity to create training, but we weren't totally sure the best way to do it. And we were aware that the CRLA had a summer institute where they taught the trainers, and we missed the first year, and then the second year they held it. We reached out prior to the Flint Family Foundation to see if they could help us in funding, because right now our school funding budgets are pretty tight, and they just responded with a big yes, and it was a wonderful trip to take to St. Louis to get that training, and we just all thank them very much for it.
And they've really stepped up.
Yes.
Yeah, and they continue to step up for professional development. That's great. Well, we're at that point in the show where we ask the big question. It's very serious.
I'm nervous.
If you could go back in time and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice before you started college, what would it be? Sydney, you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. I would just say to have more self-confidence. I think that's what I was really lacking when I was 18. I mean, maybe now too a little bit, but definitely when I was 18, I felt that imposter syndrome a lot. I remember going to college and thinking, oh, everybody's so much smarter than me, or, getting a job and, everybody knows what they're doing and I have no idea what I'm doing here. But over time, just developing the self-confidence, I think I could have used that a lot when I was 18.
I would have told myself that I didn't have to wait 18 years to go to college.
So you didn't go to college right out of high school. What did you do?
I worked in a grocery store for about
Okay.
13 years,
All
and
right.
then at a ski resort, and I was actually a pastry chef.
At the ski resort?
Yes. And so we'd make desserts for the skiers during the winter, and during the summer it would be make wedding cakes and different things for companies that had corporate events.
So then what was your impetus to go to college? Why did you decide to?
Working in the restaurant or in retail, I didn't
You didn't want to do that forever.
like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I'm smart enough, I can do something. And I went to school and didn't know what to do. And somebody said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I don't know, could I just stay here? I don't have a rich uncle or anything. And they said, then don't leave. And I said, what are you talking about? They said, teach. And it made so much sense at the time, because
Wow.
every job I've had, I had to teach.
Right.
Even at the hiring new employees, because we in the grocery store, some of them couldn't read, but
Yeah,
I
you
could
have
teach
to-
them how to match numbers.
You've been
and
training,
stuff.
yeah.
And at the ski resort, new people come in every winter,
Yeah.
and so I said
Interesting.
that works, and I'm good at math, so I'll get my degree and then go off and get my master's degree and start teaching.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you've been listening to the Big Blue Podcast. We want to thank our guests, Dean Muse and Sydney Teel, for spending some time with us today, and we want to thank you for listening. Remember, you can catch the Big Blue Podcast each week in The Week at TCC and on the Creativity Channel at YouTube. Dr. Goodson, thank you so much for letting me join you today.
Thank you, Anina. And thank you, Sydney and Dean. We've really enjoyed visiting with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
you.
us.